Good afternoon on what is a warm, bright and sunny day. It is Saturday the 25th of May and I'm in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And a big pile of books because, this lot is because it's time for another reading roundup. Now I'm doing it today because I'm not going to have the opportunity to do it next weekend at the end of the month because I will be at UK Games Expo. And many of these books here are what I have been essentially reading and reviewing, or I'm going to read and review in readiness for the event. Essentially, reviewing titles from books that publishers have given me to review and saying, hi, I'm still reviewing your books. Here's a book that you've given me to review. And, I know you're going to be at the convention next week. The aim really being to basically do a bit of publicity for the publisher, for the event, and showcase sort of the book that they might have on, or might have and probably will have on sale at, for example, UK Games Expo. So, Pelgrane Press, it's the suburban consumption of Monstrous. Now, this is a book of essentially one session American horror LARPs that you play sort of round the table, and it all involves food and secrets and horrors. Primarily for mature audiences, because it does involve things like themes like such as cannibalism, family stress, violence, murder, unhealthy family dynamics. So getting off to sort of like a bit of a dark tone there, but that's going to continue onwards because role-playing is a bit like that. And so that is a really nice collection of LARPs that you might want to try. If you literally have the stomach for it. So I really enjoyed that. Also enjoyed Runecairn Wardensaga, which is a compilation of Runecairn, the advanced rules, and the scenario in one book, which is a really nice compilation. This is an OSR style role-playing game using the mechanics from Into the Odd or Knave or Cairn, or essentially little micro old school Renaissance style role-playing games, and this one is just for one player and one game master or warden, and you play a Viking in the post-Ragnarok world. I really liked this. It's got a really kind of brutal dynamism to its action because you never roll to attack. You just roll damage, and that can have special effects depending upon the equipment that you're using. It's very much keyed on to the equipment that you carry and use. It's not a class system as such. So if you have a spear, you can go do a thrust forward and reach someone a little bit further away. Or if you've got a runestone, you can focus on that and cast a spell. And then you're rolling for things for like reactions, like parries or blocks and so on. And if you can, or riposte, so you've got your great bearded axe. If you successfully roll your strength, you not only block the incoming damage, but you get to do a strike back, a riposte that does damage with advantage. It means you roll the dice twice and take the best one. So there's a nice, as I say, nice dynamic to it. You've got a scenario, a delve, which you can automatically start playing with your warden, and then after that, there's a where is it? Here we go. There is a delve generator as well, so you can create that, and that's the warden can create that and run that, or you can create one and play it solo. So I really liked it like that. Osprey Games Urban Decay, which is 80s vigilante style beat 'em up games, and films like Streets of Fire, the Old Guard, Street Fighter computer game, that sort of thing. Fast play, sweeps, kicks, punches, taking down the bad guys, working up the chain to take out the gang and so on. That's really fun, and it's all designed really essentially to be played level by level, as if the city itself becomes levels in a computer game. That you're playing in the arcade and get through to the end and face the final boss, the big gang boss, and beat the hell out of him. So that's Osprey Games. What else? Overisles This is a little supplement for campaigns, supplement for Overisles, which is a role-playing game of Arthurian adventure set in another world where the protagonists are teenagers, and they go through to save this world, to serve it and make it better as Pendragons. But there's a signature thing about Overisles and this campaign is that you, when you cast magic, you shape it using sign language, American Sign Language or British Sign Language. There's, let's see where I can find something at the back there. There we go. There's, so basically, it shows you how to do that. So this is a campaign to be played by the deaf-aware and deaf community, and it allows you to play learn sign language at the same time. It's terrific, and making a role-playing game available to a community that isn't normally served by role-playing games. Anyway, you can see role-playing game from Planar Compass, who are best known for the fanzine Planar Compass. This is essentially a bit like, this is like a Grimm's fairy tale, where you have to go into the woods to get something back from the elves, and you'll encounter creatures and monsters and things on the way, and you've got to bargain with the elves at the other end to get it back, and when you return you don't know how long you've been and how you've been changed by that process. Very minimalist, very storytelling, really sort of like more a series of prompts rather than a full role-playing game, but great. Good for one session. Jovian Visitor, scenario for Lamentations of the Flame Princess Weird Fantasy Role-Playing. This is written by Glyn Seal, and you are running around essentially trying to find the lost books of an astronomer who, and this is in Florence, was the map, in 1642, and of course who is not Galileo, but could be if you wanted him to be, essentially to prevent a great summoning of a star beast that effectively will destroy the world if you don't. It's another one of those kind of scenarios for Lamentations of the Flame Princess that essentially that if you don't intervene, the world will be destroyed, as opposed to the scenarios from Lamentations of the Flame Princess where if you do intervene, the world will be destroyed because it's your fault. There's quite a few of those. That's really very nice, and I love the cartography of this. Glyn Seal, who is best known for the creation of the Midlands old school Renaissance setting. Forgotten Duty. There we go. This is a scenario for Cthulhu Hack 2nd edition, set in southwest Spain, I think. I can't just offhand. I can't remember where Pamplona is. And it's a mysterious thing. Essentially, the investigators come want to examine a book, and there's lots of reasons why that happens, and or why that is, and then you essentially encounter the power and influence over the city, who actually has control of the book, and perhaps find out why at his villa. So yeah, short and sweet, and that one can easily be adapted to the role-playing game of Lovecraftian investigative horror of your choice. I've got a quick start. Death Valley, a horror western role-playing game. This is from Critical Kit, who are best known for their Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition scenarios, and also Be Like a Crow, the solo journaling game, which I like, and there's been a couple of supplements of that where, there's the Cthulhu-themed one, and there's a Western-themed one. So we actually have a Western-themed role-playing game here. This is a quick start for it, in which you play undead in essentially Death Valley. You are zombies, vampires, ghouls, and skeletons, and you all have benefits to actually being in that form. And you form communities and try and protect your community from the outside predations of the world, because of course you're undead. But it uses the Year Zero system from things like Vaesen and Mutant Year Zero, so it's a really easy system to use, and this is quite nice and flavourful. Actually, I really quite enjoyed this. Really like this. Then we get onto a big role-playing game which I reviewed. This took some doing. That's one of the longest reviews I've actually written of late, and that's Shadowrun. And this is the Seattle Sixth World core rulebook, the Seattle edition. There's also a Berlin edition, and 6th edition for a role-playing game set in the 6th world. And this is the classic cyberpunk role-playing game where man meets fantasy, man meets machine, fantasy meets machine, because you can be elves, trolls, orcs, or dwarves, and be install cyberware, use magic, run the Matrix, and so on. Control drones. Dragons are in charge. Originally published by FASA in 1989, and it's a really very well developed world. Lots of detail, lots of background that you can get into, great events, secrets, and so on. And it's you are playing with a lot of quite iconic character types. Like an orc shaman, or a dwarf rigger, an elf, face or adept, and so on. And you live in the shadows, trying to survive. Dealing with Mr. Johnson, the fixer, who will give you jobs and perhaps betray you, and so on. Doing the kind of tasks that normally the corporations want done, but want done by deniable assets. So yeah, that's a good introduction to the game. Probably it's a clearer explanation of the rules in there than it has been sort of like previous editions, and definitely in the quick start or starter box. And you get also what I really loved about this. What I absolutely loved about this is you get at the back here Seattle city data. So you've got an introduction to the setting of Seattle. Seattle's the default setting. Okay, there's no background otherwise at this level in the book, but you get this at the back, and you're going to get details of Seattle, a good overview, and then after that you've got Seattle contacts, and Seattle plots. There's 20 of these, 20 quite detailed thumbnail plots for the game master to develop and run. And they're sort of tied into those contacts. So you can run a mini campaign just straight out of that book with a bit of work, a bit of effort, but the groundwork is laid there for you. And that's fantastic. Because otherwise there could be just a scenario at the end. You play that, that's great, what do I play next? Here it gives you the options, that you've got to work with, but it's a great start. And that's a really nice addition to the rulebook. And it was really fantastic to work through the rulebook, understand the rules. What else? 60 Years of Adventure Book 2 for Doctor Who, a Doctor Who role-playing game, 2nd edition. I was a bit sneaky with this because I've been sat on this. It came out last year, and it's in 2 parts. So I did book 1, and I timed it for release at the exact same time that the BBC launched the 60th anniversary edition programs for Doctor Who. That was last November. And when Doctor Who returned for its first full series under Rashidi Gatwa, I only timed my review of this at the exact same time as the BBC One showed the programme. Nobody noticed, but it's just a little thing that I did. I just wanted to have that kind of bit of detail. And what I like about this book, the scenarios are kind of brief outlines, and they do need development here and there. But if you're a fan of Doctor Who, it does include some important figures in there that you wouldn't normally expect to see in a Doctor Who role-playing game, partly because they don't actually get a lot of screen time. So that does include the War Doctor, played by the late John Hurt, in the 50th anniversary episode, which I went to see at the cinema and greatly enjoyed. And then, you see, where are we? Flick through. Oh yeah, my favourite Doctor at the Who at the moment is the Fugitive Doctor, and I really want to see her come back because she's great. But there's a section on her in here as well, and it's really good. I don't like the whole idea behind the Fugitive Doctor, but she's a great Doctor. Anyway, so that's 60 Years Adventure Book 2. Looking forward to the next releases from Doctor Who. What else we got? Oh yes, Kyodaina. This is another release for Colostle. Colostle is a solo journaling game, but the artwork just, I mean, all right, just the artwork. That's fantastic. Okay, you can see the cover on it. Okay, that's the style throughout. But just show you that artwork without any text. That's utterly amazing. It's fantastic. And what the author does is create some absolutely fantastic images that that remind you of Studio Ghibli. And the thing is with this is that Colostle is set in a giant world that is made up of castle rooms, but they're so big that they encompass whole environments. So you can have a room with a forest, or stairs that go up that essentially is a desert, or there's a lake down a corridor, that sort of thing. And so it's got this fantastic sense of scale, and you're just exploring it. And with Kyodaina, you actually go out to essentially another realm. I'm just going to show you one more image, which is utterly, absolutely cute. There we go. And one of these, for example, you've got sky islands in here, islands in the sky in this world, but you also have like an archipelago with great, fantastic, giant weapons just dropped into the ground, hammers and swords and so on. But you've got one of these little rooklings, the little companions, which can join a character during play if they're of the right class. And he's adapted to the swimming. That's so adorable. Oh, it's fantastic. It's a lovely story. There's a directed campaign in here, so it does feel more like a computer game than perhaps the previous versions of Colostle do. But if you can find this, absolutely recommend it, even if you just want to have a look at the artwork. Then the most recent thing I've finished reading and reviewing is The Darkest Hour. This is the big haunted house style campaign from Monty Cook Games, and it's designed to be played online. And you know, it has. Let's just see if I can find a particularly interesting looking room. Okay, essentially, you've just got like a narrow staircase there in detail, and you've got a QR code to download documents and listen to sound files, and then you have this recurring figure in this section here, the mother with her skeleton children hanging off her. It's a horror game that really designed to work with any of the role-playing game because there's kind of a universal system which you adapt your characters to, and then you play it, and you can go in and out of the house and back, but it always kind of becomes a recurring presence in the campaign until you you work out what the house wants and deal with it. You can't actually get rid of it per se. You can't destroy it or end the problem. You can withstand it. So it reminded sort of like, essentially it's like the great role-playing horror story, almost like the equivalent of the American Horror Story sort of thing. As I say, designed during lockdown, originally presented as a series of, as an app, it's an app and a series of documents, and it is still available as an app, as a download, but available now as a book. But you're still going to need to access online and for the QR codes and so on. But I think that's actually terrific if you want to play a kind of haunted house that hides its secrets very, very well. So with any game system, then that's a great choice. So what am I reading at the moment? I've just started reading the Blade Runner role-playing game. I've been meaning to review this for years. I've had it, and why I haven't reviewed it is because essentially I've been sort of a bit scared to, because I'm such a fan of Blade Runner. But I'm gonna, bite the bullet, take the void test, prove my humanity, and read the book and review it for tomorrow. So I've already started reading it. I really like it. It's a lovely looking book. A big fan of Blade Runner. The artwork is terrific. Same artist as in Alien, the Alien role-playing game, and Symbaroum beforehand. Just terrific. There's one fantastic scene that just sort of captures. He gets the look of Blade Runner. You have these great skyscapes, and then you have sort of like really quite close up images, that sort of capture the horror of the setting. Just that. So yeah, really looking forward to digging into this. Also, the Magic Eater, another Lamentations of the Flame Princess, because every week what I review, I will review a fantasy scenario of some kind every week. It's my Friday fantasy scenario. This is what I'm going to be reviewing for the week to come. A little scenario, easy to quick and easy to review and just slot in, because I need to sort of like find things to slot in and review, because I've got UK Games Expo next week. And that means I'm going to be busy. I'm not going to be able to write, so got to get these done. And when I go to a convention, the other things I review are these. This is the Goodman Games 2019 yearbook, and Goodman Games publishes one of these at every Gen Con and has done since 2014, 2013, something like that, which is a look back at the previous year's Gen Con, and also the basically what's happened over that previous year in the Goodman Games community, because it is a community of lots of really lovely people who create a lot and play a lot and really love Dungeon Crawl Classics. And in the past, it's provided support for Dungeon Crawl Classics and other games published by Goodman Games. This, though, is just focusing on Dungeon Crawl Classics with Riders on the Phlogiston, which is a tournament scenario for the event from 2018. And so you've got the complete tournament scenario now. You can run that as is. You can just play through it just in your normal group, or you can even run it as a tournament if you wanted to, or you can run it play it through as a standard game, and then measure your progress against those that played it at Gen Con. What else? A couple of last things. This is Firelock Games, War Stories, Role-Playing, World War II action, really late World War II action. As you can see from those images and those characters, we are looking at the invasion of France. And so we're getting towards the end of May and June next month, and that means June 6th, which is the anniversary of D-Day. So 2024 is the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and almost very few survivors left of the event. They've got to be in over 100 or in their very late 90s to be alive. And this is a year zero game, so it's really the focused on combat more than most year zero games for obvious reasons. But again, solid foundation, good artwork. It is very much inspired by Band of Brothers, the Stephen Ambrose book, and the Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks television series from, 25 years ago now. And that goes for the same for War Stories Rendezvous with Destiny campaign book, where the player characters are paratroopers dropping into France and Normandy on the morning of D-Day, and starting the campaign against the Germans and Nazis and throwing them out of France and pushing them back into Germany to defeat them. So what I'm really hoping to do is read that this week and review it, and then get through this time as well, so that I can review this for Thursday, June the 6th, and have it appear on that day. Just to mark the story, because there's no other way that I can mark the story particularly, but if I can focus on something that tells that kind of story and interest other people, that's what I think I can do best. So this has been quite a lengthy reading roundup today. Lots of books that I've read, not as many books that I'm going to read, because I've actually no idea what I'm going to be reading for the weekend after next. I haven't given that any thought. It also kind of depends upon what I'm going to be purchasing or getting to review next weekend at the Expo. And of course, what I will do with that is you will see me pop out here with a giant, typically with a lot bag of things which I will unbox. I show off, say this is what I've got, this is what I'm going to be reviewing over the next few months, And I've been doing this for a few years now, and, you know, keeping me busy, occupied, and just writing review after review. It's why I have approaching 2,500 reviews on my blog. That will happen sometime at the end of August, and I've already given some thought about what role-playing game I should review for that. Anyway, definitely need a nice hot cup of tea. After talking for 25 minutes. So, I do hope you've enjoyed this reading roundup for Saturday, May 25th. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. If you've got any comments or feedback, do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more, well, potentially more reading roundups when I get to them, but definitely more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me with a box from which I will unbox a book or game or role-playing supplement or even a novel, and talk about it to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by that really important nice hot cup of tea. You know, like this. Okay, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another reading roundup. I hope you're going to come back for more unboxings in the Nook. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.